My name is Lech Galazowski, and I'm the author of In the Footsteps of Polish Pioneers on the Canadian Prairies. I live in Winnipeg, and this has taken me about 15 years to complete. This particular book is one of its kind because what I've done is I traveled to every location that is in this particular book, trying to find information, first-hand information, sources that are out there in the province. So I photographed what is left of the chapels and churches and tried to collect as much history as possible, history that is disappearing from the Canadian landscape. And what I want to do together with my wife is to preserve that disappearing history.
And when you say you visit a location, did you cross Canada or just Manitoba?
Okay, I've traveled right across Canada. In this particular book, I've concentrated on 3 provinces, which is Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. But we also traveled to eastern Canada, like Ontario, and the Nova Scotia. We've gone there as well. So we basically plan and go to every location. We talk to the people. We see what they have, if they have photographs, if they have documentation. We scan the documentation because eventually somebody may dispose of it, and that's how we want to preserve the history and whatever is left of the pioneers, because it's disappearing.
And how far back in history did you go? How far back?
Okay, we started off with 1817, and that is when the first 10 Polish soldiers with the Desmuren soldiers came with Lord Selkirk to the Red River settlement. So that was last year, we celebrated it. But in this particular book, we start with 1899, that's when the first Polish church was built, and that was Holy Ghost Church, and we go up to 1914. And we try to get all the chapels and churches that we could find. Some of them are gone naturally because of time, but we also will be preparing a second book, which will take us from 1915 to about 1945.
And did you actually conduct interviews with the people you stopped at when you visited different?
Yes, sometimes we came across people who had a wealth of information, and they provided us with information that we didn't know before, or they would take us to locations that we are not aware of, and that is how we discovered some of the lost places or forgotten places, and they provided us with the information, which was very good. And these people out in the province, they do have a lot of information. You just have to go out there and you have to search, and you will find a lot of good stuff, a lot of history.
So when you did your traveling, did you go to small towns and cities?
Yes, small towns, cities, but mostly little villages. And because these settlers that came to the prairies, most of them settled in the countryside and by little villages where they had their homesteads. So when we travel to these locations. We try to find the location because nobody left precise information where it is. So it was sometimes very difficult, and sometimes it took us a number of years. Like, for example, there's one in Manitoba, Viswa. We were looking for it a couple of years because I didn't know where it was, and then by a chance I came across a gentleman who told me exactly where it was. And there are other locations like this, so when we go there we document exactly where it is, so if somebody wants to go and visit the location, they can go. But for us, we have to find it because there's no information where it is. And most of the time they're located out in the farm someplace. They're not inside town. Some of them are inside town, but most of them are outside town. And that's probably the hardest part because they could be located like 10 kilometers, let's say, from a town like, let's say, Asheville. The church is located actually 10 kilometers north. You would think that is around town, maybe a couple of kilometers, but it's outside town. And it can be as far as 16 kilometers. So, but the local people are very helpful, and they provide us with all the information, and they're interested in preserving the history of their community as well. So they're more than willing to share the information that they have.
So I noticed that the book has a lot of photographs in it. Are these archive photos? Or?
There are some archive photos because I was not able to obtain these photos from anywhere. So I searched archives, and they had the photos available. So I sent for the photos, and they they provided me with the photos. Some photos I took myself of whatever was left, or private individuals provided me with photos. So most of it is either from my collection of photos I took or from the archives of private individuals. But the only way I was able to obtain these photos is because I travel out there. And I met these people, they gave me information, they gave me photos and things like that. Otherwise, it would be hard. But the idea is so that you can look at it and see it visually. When I share that history with other people and giving a bit of a background about the community that was there, what they did or how they lived or what's left. There isn't much, but whatever is left is what it is.
So you mentioned that this particular book has not been written anywhere in the world by somebody.
No. This book is unique in that we have traveled and we document and took pictures. There are books that are written by different authors, but their writing is basically like a book writing, all right? But this one is a little different because we travel to the actual community, whereas these people go to the archives or any other locations or places where they do research. Our research, yes, takes place in archives as well, but we go out to the province, like the countryside, and we try to find the information there. So with this type, that's why it's a little different than a normal book.
And I noticed that you got it broken down by years. Is there
Yes. The idea was so that when the reader looks at the book, right away he can tell that this book, rather this church the first church was built in 1904. Okay, this is actually, I think, a second church because the first one is gone. We don't know, we don't have it. So you look at the next one, this one is 1904. All right. If you look at the next one, 1907. So it's done chronologically in order they were built, like this chapel, or I don't know, in Alberta, this one over here. But this is a little different because this one was built by the English community, and the Poles started arriving around 1900, and they attended this particular church and participated in the community or church living.
So did you take all the photographs? Or did you
I took majority of the photographs. Yes, yeah, majority of the photographs. Like I said, some of them are from archives because couldn't find anywhere. But some of the good chunk of the photos, or some of the photos, are from private individuals. Like I said.
So you mentioned that you're on your way to write a second book. How will the second book be different from the first book?
How long? What?
The second book. The second book? So how will it be different from the first book?
It'll be the same. Basically, it'll be the same format, but it'll cover different towns or villages where the Polish settlers settled. So this one is up to 1914. The next one will be 1914 to 1945. So there's it will be probably a lot bigger because there were a lot more chapels and churches built at that time.
So does that mean you'll have to travel again?
I travel regularly, and even though I visited that town maybe once, I may visit a particular time 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, because I want to see if anything has changed. Is the building still there? Has it deteriorated or not? And then maybe I can meet somebody else who can give me additional information. So some of them, it's not only one trip, it may be 3, 4, 5, and every time I go by and take a photo. I want to see what's changed. If anything is different. Is the building still there or disappeared?
So if people want to buy your book other than here today, is it in bookstores?
No, it's not in a bookstore. You can buy it by writing us email, polishpioneers@shaw.ca, requesting that you want to purchase, and then we can make arrangements and you can purchase the book.
In the Cooks Creek Museum.
Yeah, you can also find it at the Cooks Creek Museum. They have it as well.
So you will send out by mail order then if somebody wants to send it out to town? To see outside window?
Yes, if that's the request, then we'll mail it to them.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share it with you. Thank you.